Namaste people, I am Anmol Sarkar. So if you guys have seen my introduction video, you guys must have an idea about who I am and what I am trying to do and what this channel is all about. So without wasting any further time, let's get straight down to today's topic. And before doing that, please like my video and subscribe to my channel so that I can come up with more such videos to inform you guys. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's get straight down to today's topic. In last video we have seen that how Sir William Jones was actually mapping this Indian civilization into that biblical mythology framework. So he faced a major challenge regarding it. He could map everything from the Hindu from Hindu deities to all the languages, etc., but he could not appropriate the time scale. So in last video we discussed that what he could appropriate, he appropriated and termed it as that it was derived from biblical mythology, and Hindu god Ram, and Hinduism came from biblical mythology, who is a descendant of Noah's son Ham, and which he could not appropriate. He just rejected it, or he tried to twist it, turn it something. And if he could not do anything, he just rejected it as a mythology, as imagination. Okay, so in today's video we will continue with that part only. So as you have seen in the last video, we have talked about that. In today's video we will see some nice quotations of various Indologists and Indian Christian scholars, so that we will be able to get a clear picture. Okay, so what this did was, there were basically three principles to Jones' work. Okay, first, he used Moses' account in the Bible of the origin of all people of the world as his ethnology to classify everything. He used the Mosaic ethnology, in which the Ham's sons or Noah's sons Ham were cursed, and he used this. First is Moses. He used this Mosaic ethnology to classify all the people across the world into this master slave race. Okay. Now the second is the chronology of events found in the non-Western texts had to fit into the time periods mandated by the Christian officials. What did not fit was either distorted to make it fit, or rejected as myth, or simply ignored. As I have discussed earlier in the last video, that he wanted to fit the time scale of biblical mythology into the our Indian text, so which he could not do. He either wanted to distort it or twist it, or if he could not do anything of that, he simply rejected it. That was the second principle, fit time scale. And the third is the ancient wisdom found in Sanskrit text was given great respect in the context of humanity's shared heritage, and selectively appropriated as and used as evidence to argue in favor of Christianity. Praising means he praised Christianity as he praised Indian texts, Indian Vedas wisdom, ancient wisdom of Indian Vedas as great source of humanity, a shared heritage, and then he carefully made appropriations and argued that it came from Christianity. So if he would have directly opposed it, he would have faced backlash. So in order to crush this dissent, he played a very smart trick. He just praised Sanskrit as humanity's great heritage and all, so that we all get fooled and our ancestors got fooled. And after that, he appropriated this Christianity into India Vedas, and then he argued that Vedas came from Christianity. It was all planned. So if you see in today's political landscape also, there are people who praise that India yoga is great, India's civilization is great. Now suddenly what they will do is they will argue, they will try to appropriate that into the Christianity, and then you know what will happen. For example, this transcendental meditation by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Okay, so this, now I am just giving you an example. Okay, this transcendental meditation originated in India, and what these US guys did, what these Westerners did, that they took this meditation and wrote a book named as Relaxation Response. I don't remember the author's name, but right now please do a research. The book name of the book is The Relaxation Response. They took the yoga, what they could fit into the Christian model, they tried to fit, and they rejected the rest of it. And when this model fails, if something else happens, this is inevitably going to fail. The meditation which they are trying to which they are teaching all over the West, these meditation techniques or the yoga techniques are already broken and distorted, so it is bound to fail. And when this yoga will fail, they will do what they do best, blame it on the Indian civilization and say that Indians are backwards and they propagate mythology and etc. So this is what a few examples of it. For example, Vipassana meditation. There is a famous meditation technique Vipassana in Buddhism. Now what this guy did is, this guy took Vipassana meditation, copied it and renamed it as mindfulness meditation, which is a great success in the West. Okay, and these guys own a patent for that. So this is how they appropriate. I was trying to give examples for that. Now this was regarding British evangelist Jones, Sir William Jones. He tried to appropriate. Okay, now one of his a famous Yale linguist, Errington's recent book Linguistics in the Colonial World explains the role of Sir William Jones to pave way for the claim that the earliest speakers of Sanskrit language belong to Aryan race. Now note this book Linguistics in a Colonial World. I will read a passage from it. He says that one influential approach to colonialism as a world historical phenomenon then is to read complex scattered events of 4 centuries into patterns of more and stronger flows of people, gods, capital, technology around the globe. Listen to this statement very carefully. On the one influential approach to colonialism as a world historical phenomenon then is to conquer to make colonies or to colonize the world. One important aspect is history is to read complex scattered events. Means now when history they gather it is in scattered form, it is not in a whole form, because during time most of these texts have either eroded or got lost. So it is to read complex scattered events of 4 centuries into pattern or stronger flows of people, gods and capital and technology around the globe. So they took the scattered pieces of history, science, technology, and they tried to club it as one. Okay, means they tried to form a pattern. So next it continues, from this angle linguistics can be regarded as small, rather special group of colonial agents who devised necessary conduits for communication across the lines of colonial power. However different methods they used or objects they described, they transformed familiar alphabets into images of strange speech. Their writing systems or the orthographies were common beginning point for the work of the writing grammars, dictionaries, instructional texts and so on. So this was the entire passage where he wants to say that all these scattered texts should be given as a whole, brought in as a whole, and we have to give it a new context so that these colonies can be created. Okay, so this is how it started. And one more passage I have is from the Vedic hymns. It has been possible to piece together a reasonably coherent picture of the Aryan invaders. So they took scattered history of colonials and they Sanskrit and Vedas, and they tried to paint it in the context of the Western Aryan invasion theories. Coherent pictures the Aryan invaders on their first impact with the black noseless Dhyasus, means the Das I have said, who comprised of the native opponents and subjects. So this was the idea behind it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. So have a nice day. Thank you.